to Werewolf the Podcast. This is episode 119. We are partly the way through a series of scary sort of shit at the moment with spirits and fairies and supernatural police and all those kind of things. It might be a good idea for you to go back and listen to others in the series to sort of understand where we're at. It all starts at episode 112. There are links to all the social media places down in the description. Please go and join those so you can speak to me and shit if you want. Why you would, I don't know, but if you do, you can. The podcast is still growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and people are sending me lovely reviews. I love a good review. If you review the podcast and send it to me, I will put you out on my Twitter and out on the Facebook group and stuff like that. I just love to do that. If it's kind of backhanded and sarcastic, but in a positive way, I like it even more. My most recent favourite this week's comes from a young man called Dean Saunders. I love this podcast because you have to think differently to enjoy it, and then you get really worried, as normals don't think that way. Well, I don't know what normals are, but they probably don't think that way, Dean. There you go, Dean. You've been announced to all the people, all the thousands of listeners that, that they're all a bit weird, but maybe they realise that. Anyway, thanks for listening. You guys are fantastic. Review me and send me the reviews, or if I find them, I'll put them up and I will announce them to the world of weirdo werewolf lovers that are on listening to this stupid nonsense. Ready? Let's go. 5 a.m. and my phone gets into its grimy ringtone from my youth to remind me that I'm a policeman, but I is still one of the road boys. Now, as you can imagine, this used to be annoying, but what I've learnt over the years is the best bad shit never happens during the day. All the best bad shit happens during the dark bit of the day, so this would be either exciting or fucking horrendous, and probably both at some point. My mind comes racing back from a dream about being left back in the dressing room at Anfield when my team, the Hammers, on a match day are playing. It's a frequently reoccurring dream of me locked in and unable to get out when the game starts. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's got some kind of great significance for something, but to me it's just a dream and I'll forget about it in a second. Maybe it stems from the jokes me mates always repeated when I was a kid playing football. Ben! You are playing left back, mate. Left back in the fucking dressing room. Much laughter on their part. Fucking wankers. I reach for my mobile as I wipe the sleep crusts of the night from before from my left eye. Hello, I say in the device. Shit, Ben. Sula's voice automatically makes me sit up in the bed. I've no idea what is happening, but an upset, angry Sula is such a rare thing that it makes me do so. I'm instantly awake and focused. I nod. A weird piece of body language to offer as she can't see me, so why would I nod? Also, why would I consider doing it when she's on the phone reacting in the way she is? It's weird. Affairs and thoughts rush through my mind as to why she's phoning. Had the wolf followed her? Were her family hurt? Friends? She loved me? Where the fuck did that one come from? I scratched my head thoughtfully. Yeah, I replied to the phone. Not the obvious answer to the shit, Ben! Exclamation, but I think it was more about registering the fact that it was me on the phone than giving any sort of sensible reply. Fuck, Ben. It's the Nixies, Ben. The Nixies. They're kids and dogs and a female human babysitter. They were all killed last night. There was a silence on the phone. I knew this was her thinking, not a gap for me to speak. I mean, killing is not enough to describe it, Ben. They were tortured, and one of the Nixies was dissected in the kitchen. Fuck. I think it must have been alive-ish, or alive as these things are when it was being cut. I'm not really sure, Ben. It's... I need you here, Ben. The prof is on his way from Leicester. Fuck, Ben. You're not gonna believe this when you see it. The professor's name had given me a sudden bite. Why had she found him before me? Was I less important than him to this? Was I yet again showing a pang of jealousy at her choosing him before me? Nah. Sula found him first because he's in fucking Leicester, which is far away. So he would have to travel to get here. That would take some time while I was close. I may have no imagination, but my ability to rationalise situation was well above the average. Saula's choice of who to find first had only been down to priorities, not anything else. She carried on passing on the information. The husband of the babysitter started to worry when she was late home and started to get concerned when her phone consistently went to answer mail. He was not used to her not answering. He hung tight for about an hour, thinking that it might be a phone issue or that she'd just got chatting, but then nipped around to the house. He doesn't live far away, and he just wanted to check all was okay. He arrived at the boat and there was no answer to his knocking at the door, even though all Davia's car and the family's cars were there. He tried the door, which was open, and went in. The rest... I don't want to get into it right now. I've never seen anything like this. I am really struggling. I could hear in her voice that something was very wrong. I'd only heard her like this once before, and to be honest, we'll leave that story maybe for another time. On my way! I leapt out of bed and up down the stairs, trying to put my trainers on while holding the car keys in my teeth. In 3 minutes I was in the car, turning the key and letting the engine roar to life. The car is always packed and ready for as many things that can crop up on our freaky day-to-days. I realised I would have to put my boots on when I arrived because having different Nike Jordans on each foot was probably mega cool in some circles, but probably frowned upon at a murder scene. It was because of the rush, obviously, and the fact that I owned too many pairs of Jordans, a small affectation of my youth. I'd not put the blues and twos on as I drove. The traffic was pretty sparse and they weren't necessary. Also, we at the Supernatural Police Department very rarely highlight our presence to the world in general. As I arrived at the bridge to Tag Island, a PC stopped me. I was a young black guy in an expensive BMW, so it was impossible for him not to. I would never have got the fucking thing if I had to take into account the times I would be stopped by my own gang. I had to request the number plate would run as police vehicle by the traffic cops as it had gotten so frequent. In one case, the number plate being marked as the police had made it worse, as the two fucking idiots in the car were convinced I'd nicked the thing. Anyway, that was a different story. But something is integrated into the police's DNA that a young black guy in a very expensive car must be a baddie. I flashed my ID in silence and passed on. When I arrived at the boat, it was surrounded by yellow tape, and a few bored PCs were there to obviously stop people from getting any closer. Sula's car was there too. I hope she wasn't alone in there. Before anyone goes off on me about sexism and all that shit, and that I meant that she would not be able to handle the situation because she was a woman, that's not the fucking case at all. Genuinely. I know for a fact that I would not want to be in there alone myself, and I'd not even seen what was waiting for me. She'd never lost her cool. And in this case, it was fucking gone, and that frightened the fuck out of me, to be honest. Once parked, I ducked under the yellow tape and waved my ID at a constable. I met another at the door and asked him what he knew. We do this just to make sure we're keeping, normal personnel in the dark. I know that Sula would not share anything out of order, but it was always part of any investigation for us in this department to check out as many points as possible that secrecy was being maintained. The officer knew nothing of the contents of the house, but he couldn't get past that someone had killed the two dogs. It seems that the British especially cannot cope with someone killing a family pet. Fuck the fucking family. Kill them. But what kind of animal would kill dogs? I asked about the dogs. He had tears in his eyes and he can't reply. I smiled and patted him on the shoulder in a consoling manner and he nodded. He apologised. nodding, and simply opened the door and let me enter the houseboat. It was at this moment I realised I'd never been on one of these things before, and I would never have thought that it was just a house floating on the river. Once inside the hallway, I closed the door behind me, wondering what the fuck had happened to the dogs. Then I quickly realised something I probably didn't want to know. I shouted for Sula and was brought to the room at the back of the boat. There was a smell that was catching at the back of my throat as I walked. Nothing seemed out of place in this immaculately tidy home. This looked like something out of a catalogue, to be honest. I don't mean IKEA either. This would be a funky catalogue for those who wanted sustained everything. I thought it would look quite shit being a hippie hole, but it was actually wicked. A little bit ethnic for me, but hey, who am I have to go at anyone's taste? Apparently, I don't have none. At the room's door, I noticed the first clues, or what I call them myself, problems. The Hessian floor coverings were stained with what looked like oil, but it wasn't oil. It stank of rotten fish and seaside yuckiness. It was the kind of smell that was so bad it affected your fucking vision. My eyes, well, they fucking watered as I gently pushed open the door with my palm. I peeked around it using the don't present my profile method of the quick peek around the doorroom investigation that the cool cops in films never do. It really doesn't look cool. Well, Sula, she was sitting on a rustic buffet, her back against the wall. Her feet were clear of the pool of black liquid on the floor and her head was slumped back and supported by the wall itself. I panicked for a moment as she seemed too still. Then I realised she'd been crying and she was trying hard to get herself together. Are you okay? Fuck's sake. Such a stupid question to ask, but the only relevant one I could formulate. She brought her head forward and in the palms of both her hands, shaking it violently. She'd started to cry again, and it was terrible to see this woman who was usually so stoic in her approach to horrific things, so openly emotional. I gulped at this thought. I'd no idea what I was going to see, but if she was like this, it was going to be something beyond my abilities to understand. The baby's pen. The fucking baby's pen. Again, she broke down. I started to take in the room. I turned to the cradles in the centre of the room. The sight that befell me was... I can't describe it. I won't describe it. How could anyone do that to anything? He had taken pleasure in doing that. You could see that he had. It did not matter what species were. It didn't matter the fact that something could actually do anything like that was wrong. Just fucking wrong. Nothing like that should be a possibility of any kind. I stood over the cots for some time. I was frozen, not really thinking. I was just... The babysitter is over in the corner, Sula said. She's dead. I've not found the cause of death as of yet. Not really been able to do much after the cots. I'm sorry. She cried again and I went to her where she was sat, pouring her bloody heart out. Hey, I wish you'd waited for me, you know. You would have been pissed off with me if you'd come in here alone. I told her that, in what I hoped was a comforting manner. I squatted down before her and lifted her chin to look into those dark, tear-filled eyes. Look, this is horrible, pure horrible, but we are the people who are going to do something about the thing that did this. I spat it out. In my mind, I had images that every cop has at times like these, but has to pretend that they don't. The red mist was rising and I thought of the fucking werewolf. He would pay for this. We're gonna get him for this, Sula. We're gonna get him. You are the most capable detective I know. Let's grieve and be angry about this after we've nailed this cunt to the fucking wall. She nodded, wiping her eyes and stood up, shaking her head. We stood awkwardly in front of each other for a moment, not really knowing what to do about the discomfort. Then she reached for me and pulled me towards her in a genuine hug. I held her tenderly, and in that moment things became, well, manageable again for the both of us. I rested my chin on top of her head and closed my eyes, and the next 3 seconds allowed us to transfer all the emotions that we felt at that moment to each other. As suddenly as the hug began and felt right, it stopped and began feeling wrong and awkward as we mentally tried to get back to the task in hand. I went over to the dead human. She fitted the description of the babysitter. Her neck had been crushed and the spine was broken, and when I touched it for a pulse, the head fell sideways with no support. In the past, this would have made me jump with the surprise, but these days, I was used to things happening, so I didn't even flinch. Her neck had been crushed. It had been crushed with so much force that everything was like distended, and even her eyes were bulging from her head dramatically. At least the death was pretty quick and clean. Weird how judging someone's death can be a way of coping and making it seem a little better. In reality, she should definitely not be dead, and definitely not this way. Sula was over one of the dead nixies on the floor. These creatures, when they're dead, well, they don't look real. I mean, they never really look real, but this just looked like a shit B-movie prop of a fishman monster. It lay partially on its side. It had obviously been stabbed in the forehead with the iron spike that was now on the floor. The side of its head that should have been touching the floor was dissolved into like a white, frothy, slimy solution, and the bar had fallen through that mush to the floor. Or maybe the bar had caused the dissolving of its head. That was above my pay grade to know. I think it must have been it as it walked through the door to come to the kids. The wolf had stood on the side of the door and brought the spike round into the head of the nixie, I reckoned. It was a well thought out plan, as the nixies could have only come into the room one at once, so I would have not had to fight them, 2 at a time. That, and the element of surprise in the spike, I assume being made out of iron, did the trick of taking the werewolves game to 2-0 in the first few minutes of play. The floor and the cribs were not covered by ooze, blood, and bits of slime were covered in thick black dust. It was not until the prof arrived that we found out that this had been iron filings. The wolf had used iron filings on these poor monsters. It was strange how I thought of nixies as the victims. They were monsters with hundreds of years of murdering humans behind them. At least it was behind them. They were no trouble now as long as they were supplied with the flesh they required from the local morgue. They were actually helpful these days. You could see there had been a small struggle. The walls were damaged and the floor was scuffed by clawed feet. This must have been where the second nixie came into the room. I wonder how it went. I couldn't imagine. Did the wolf throw the filings in its face? Maybe that was why the goop was black on the floor. Who knew? Well, we would once the professor had arrived to take over the scene. In this case, I would be very grateful for that help. This was a lot. It was a lot, and he had a calm manner that made these things seem less real, in a way. He turned him into just a job, not what it was. Although this was beyond anything we had met together, so it would be interesting to see how he reacted to this situation. Something large had been dragged in the corridor and into the kitchen, where it now lay splayed out on the kitchen island at the centre of the room. I stopped dead on seeing it, and Sula walked into my back. Her hand went to my shoulder and squeezed, trying to comfort me in a moment. I nodded and walked into a scene out of a movie. The creature was in bits. Bits were dissolved. Bits were stapled by nails and spikes. Some of its skin had been flayed from its body and pinned to the wooden kitchen surface. A spike had been driven through both its hips, and the flesh around them had dissolved away. A piece of meat about the size of a fist had been excised from the thing's thigh, and yet I could see that it had been partially consumed before thrown in the sink. It must not have tasted good then. Fluids had drained onto the floor, which made our steps a little cautious so we didn't slip. I know what you're thinking, that we were despoiling the site, which would ruin the evidence there, but you can imagine that this was not a usual crime, so that was not an issue. We knew what, we knew who, and we knew when. What the fuck we were going to do about it was the problem. We both, at this point, had no words. As we did our final objective look around the kitchen, The cruelty was deliberate. This poor creature had been systematically tortured for an extended length of time for no other reason than that Will had wanted to do it. You sensed he had taken great pleasure from the hurt and the horror he had put that Nixie through. Then it entered the room. The gigantic wolf ghosty thing walked into the kitchen through the wall of the boat. It looked at me with those eyes of fire. It wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid. I was so fucking angry, and Sula could sense it with my stiffening. She touched me on the wrist and looked me in the eyes. I know, Ben, she said. She thought I was simply angry at the situation, which I was. But the soul had come back to lord it over us. Will had wanted the fucking pleasure of seeing how we would react to what he'd done. I cannot think how sick he is. He enjoyed watching us near. Should I tell her it was here? The wolf had not moved. Its back end was still in the wall as it stared at us. The anger was growing as I realised that I was powerless to do anything about it. I couldn't do anything to the fucking spirit that was there. Sula? Yeah, she replied and seemed confused why I was staring at the wall as though I'd seen something important there. She could not see anything herself and walked towards the point I was looking at to study it closer. Sula, it's here, I told her. What is? She replied, walking into the wolf and running her palms over the wall where it was lodged. The wolf saw things here, I replied. She froze solid. Where? She said quietly. You're studying it, I told her. She looked around and started to walk slowly backwards to me. What is it doing, Ben? She nervously asked. It's just stood there watching us, I said. I think Will must have wanted to see our reaction to this. I saw Sula physically shake herself as if to rid herself of a bad feeling. The wolf's head dropped to sniff the floor briefly, and then it simply turned and just left through the wall. I think this was the most frightening part of what had happened. It was a definite message to the two of us that Will could easily find us whenever he wanted. This was a new fear that I'd never felt before. I'd been in dangerous moments where things could have gone badly, but they were infrequent, and you got the relief and dopamine reward of them being over when they'd passed. We were now under threat all the time. He could be in our lives at any moment to end them. How do you live with a life with that feeling hanging over you? I could see Sula was having the same thoughts. We'd been glassy-eyed for a moment as we considered this new future. I didn't sign up for this. I mean, the money was really good for a copper, but not worth this. We both came back to ourselves, no words, but I nodded at Sula as she pointed towards the door. We walked to the front door and exited the building to a new, much more terrible world. We were both still silent in our own terrible worlds. The PC at the door smiled and was about to ask a question on seeing our faces, but on seeing our faces, swallowed it down and did not bother us as we passed. At the tape corner, I lifted it for Sula to duck under and I pointed at Mikhail where we both got into the front seats, where we sat in silence, staring out the windscreen at the boat. Have you ever... I got halfway through my sentence before Sula butted in. No. I expected more, but the no just trailed into a sad silence. I turned to her, her eyes were again full of tears, and I reached for her hand and said, "We'll get him, Sula. The fucker's not going to get away with this shit. This is... I cannot say what this is, but he's gone too far and it's to be stopped. That should never happen to anyone or anything He enjoyed what he did in there to all of them, and that gloating wolf thing at the end. Fuck him. Fuck him. And the dogs. Again, butted in Sula. He fucking mutilated the fucking dogs, Ben. At this point, she burst into tears while I shushed and reassured her like a father with a young child. After a while, the tear ducts were drained and she came back to me. And, it's my fucking fault, Ben. It's my fucking fault. She was on the edge of losing it again. How? I genuinely asked. How could she blame herself? The cafe, Ben, she replied. No, Sula, you had no idea that it was what was going to... You had no idea. You can't blame yourself, I told her. I should never have met him. That was so fucking stupid of me. I thought I was being clever, and I would sort this out by being cleverer than him, and I set this up to happen. He killed the people and the things tonight because of me. Can you not see that? She looked at me through tears of pain. I had no honest reply now because I could easily see how she jumped to that conclusion. I don't think it was the only reason that this had happened. Shit. How would I convince her that she'd not caused this if I felt that she may have? I'd paused too long in thought and she could sense what I was thinking. I'd not helped the situation in any way and she looked upwards as the rage at herself spilled out. She sounded like a wounded animal, and I had to sit there and let her get it out of her system before trying to talk her down. Eventually she calmed. I waited. I passed her a pile of McDonald's napkins from my glove box. She wiped her face and blew the gorgeous little nose as she did so. I did my best. Look, we're always trying to do the right thing. You did not make this happen. It was his choice to do this as a response to whatever happened. You had no idea that the fucking date. She quietly laughed, wiping her face. That the meeting would turn out, if you think about it, it was me who gave us away. Should I blame myself? She laughed. Yes, it's all your fault. There was humour in her words now, and I could sense and feel. Fucking thanks. I overemphasised and we both laughed. No, but we shouldn't ever have been there. That was all my doing. I did not follow procedure. And now I've put you in real danger, Ben. What fucking procedure? Show me where it shows the correct procedure to meet a werewolf so we can stop him from harming some evil water spirits. I mean, I was never the greatest student at Antley and stuff, but I've no memory of dealing with any supernatural shit in any book there. There were no lectures on interrogating werewolves that I remember. I don't think that dating them, to be honest, was a great idea. She now laughed a little. I continued. There are two of us for the whole of this fucking nonsense in the whole of fucking London. There's no rule book, there's no procedure. We're making this shit up as we go along, and to be honest, we're mostly doing an amazing fucking job that no one knows is going on. She nodded, and I could see her rebuild herself. She flipped down the sunshade and checked herself in the mirror, dabbing. Also, out of everyone I know, if you've got my back against this bastard, then I feel okay about that because you're the best person at this stupid fairy shit. We never mention this emotional me stuff again. That's an order. She, ordered. Okay, I laughed. No, that's an order, Ben. Okay, she repeated. Okay, I replied with a bit of aggravation present in my tone. There was an uncomfortable silence as the rain set in on the car and I started it up. Ben, I have to say thank you, Ben. I mean that. Thank you. She fiddled with her fingertips, looking down, as she said this. Not a problem, Sula, not a problem. You're always there for me, and I'll always be there for you. She didn't look up. She just smiled and nodded as we drew away from the crime scene to go and pick the prof up from the airport. The journey there was wet, and the silence was not that uncomfortable silence often felt between half-known people. This was the silence that was reassuring in the fact that we could do it and be comfortable together. My mind wandered as to what I'd seen tonight. I'd not met anything living or dead that was like this before. This was a creature that committed horrific acts for the sheer pleasure of doing so. It hurt and humiliated, it tortured and tormented for fun. It was threatening us and loving it that we were on edge with those threats. And I was really not angry though. Why was I not angry? Why was I not angry? I should be angry. It was confusing. Then as we passed Brentford Park it sank in. I knew we would get this bastard. I just knew that we would. Don't call it self-belief or wishful thinking or whatever. We would nail his fucking pelt to the fucking wall. It was inevitable. Thanks for listening. That's the end of the podcast. Have a wonderful day, you wonderful people, and may your legs always stay on. What? Love you. Bye.